Hi everyone, Zachary Lui here from Toronto Qigong and Wu Ji Xuan, Life Wellness. So today's topic is a somewhat hotly debated one, or not debated at all, depending how you want to see it. It's Qigong versus neigong. What is it? What are the differences? How do all these things work together? So breaking down the terminology, Qigong literally translates to energy work, and it's probably been around for the last 50 to 100 years or so. It's a fairly new term. With that neigong, much longer. It's a few thousand years on that, and it literally translates to inner work, inner alchemy, lots of different terms around that, but it's inner work of some sort, or alchemy of some sort. There's a few different terms around it. So with Qigong being a newer term, what was the older term previous to it? Well, it was called Dao Yin, and Dao Yin is a term that generally means guiding and pulling the universe through your body and or the energy through your body so you can be one with the universe, pulling the Tao in you. So when we look at the terms and differences now, Qigong means some sort of intention work with your body because you're directly moving the qi with your body to get some sort of exercise or get some sort of skill. Neigong is more of a philosophical term, and that's much more of a broader category. There may be some exercises to it, there may not be some exercises to it. It's more of a philosophical stance on, well, I can meditate and I can work on myself. Meditation can come in many forms. And Dao Yin, if we're going from its older terminology, really is about this moving and physical movement because you are directly moving and pulling and pushing the energy through your body at that point. So what's the differences then between all these terminologies? Really, there is none other than who you're talking to. You see, with neigong, that particular term really comes from Taoist circles. So if you're talking to someone with a Taoist background or coming from a Taoist influenced philosophical understanding, they're generally going to say neigong. So what is terms that would be, or forms that are influenced by Taoism? Tai Chi, a trigram palm, or Bagua Zhang, and Shen Yi Chuan. These are the more common ones just because they are martial arts, but there is a lot of neigong in them. There's also, the bone breathing and things like this. These would be considered more neigong type sets. And with Qigong, it's more about how you move the energy through the limbs. So physical movements to open up the meridians. Now we can see that connection between Dao Yin and Qigong. It's you're physically moving the limbs to generate qi and or move the qi and flow it. With neigong, you may or may not be doing that. You may just be sitting down and breathing. And with that, the focus will be on the lower Dantian, middle Dantian, the upper Dantian, or the three treasures, being the Jing, being your physical material matter, Qi, which is more the emotions, closer to a mist, but more of this, it's you could feel it, but you can't feel it at the same time, or the Shen, consciousness, and or spirit within yourself. When we're working with neigong, it works on this process of how you would alchemize various elements because having that Taoist philosophical tradition, it's much more along the lines of how do you get some sort of immortality, physical, material, spiritually, all these sort of things, because from a Taoist lens, that is one of the major purposes, at least a good chunk of them are focused on that. The other one would be becoming one with the Tao, being in harmony and in flow with your environment. So with neigong, you're really trying to break down and declutter yourself essentially. In Qigong, you may or may not be doing that. You may just want some physical health benefits and just keep it really simple. If you get some Qi skills, that's great. But really with Qigong, the emphasis is much more on how to cultivate and how to better the body first and foremost. And there's certain routines and exercises that will help you doing that. With neigong, not so much. You can literally throw a dart on the wall and say, I'm doing neigong, because it's coming from that philosophical tradition. So with that, that is the differences on that. However, I will say that the similarities between neigong, qigong, and Daoyin is they all incorporate visualization, they all incorporate breath work, and they all incorporate some sort of physical body posture. Neigong generally is more of a still form, so this is your standing posts or zhenzhuangs. It's also about the sitting or lying down postures, but you're really heavily working on that breath. You're really heavily working on that visualization. With Qigong, you're going to generally start with the physical postures first and then progress up to breath, then to visualization. The other thing I forgot to mention would probably be along the lines of, well, with neigong, would I consider it a more advanced form of Qigong? I would say yes and no depending who I'm talking to. If I'm coming from a Taoist perspective, they would usually say, well, you do your Daoyins and then or Qigongs, and then you get to the really good stuff, which is the neigongs. So there is a level demarcation per se. When you start speaking about neigongs, they've already assumed a few things. One, you've done Qigong a long time, or you've done Daoyin a long time. You're fairly sensitive. Next is they assume you have visualization skills and you can work the breathwork fairly well. Now, the caveat to all this is I said that specifically if I'm talking to a Taoist. You talk to a Buddhist or you talk to a Confucian person around their Qigongs, they would just say, well, neigong, Qigong, one's internal, one's external. Is there really a difference between the two? Philosophically, they'd probably lump them all together, and you generally find that's what happens in Buddhist traditions. They would say, well, just do your Qigong. It's a neigong anyways. Or if you talk to a Confucian tradition, it's very much along the lines of, well, your thoughts, your emotions. This is the type of neigong and cultivation practice. So me doing a physical movement with it, it's just the expression of that. Taoist traditions generally would say, yes, we understand that the internal and external world aren't separated, the macrocosm, microcosm connections. However, how far you go in your attainment levels is generally their difference on the terminology with neigong and qigong in a Taoist circle. Confucian and Buddhist, not so much. With that, if you're interested in more information, subscribe to the channel below, leave a comment, and definitely check us out at torontoqigong.com and wujishuen.ca. Till I see you next time, take it easy.